my spirit just slipped right out of my body. It was just beautiful. I knew my soul left my body because I immediately was enlightened. It's that powerful. And as soon as I left my body, I turned into this love. It's a love that we don't have here. And this incredible peace, again, a peace that we don't have here, that nothing, you're detached from anything negative. We really don't die.
The A.J. Parr Spiritual Journalist Podcast.
We are here with Lisamarie Boncek. She has had 2 near-death experiences. Let's see what she has to say. Hello, Lisamarie.
Hey, AJ. It's great to be here with you today.
You actually had 2 near-death experiences 2 nights in a row.
I had 2 NDEs back to back, 2 days, 2 nights in a row. And ironically, it was Easter weekend, 2017. And actually, it all started right here in this chair that I'm sitting in. I was sick for many years with Lyme disease and the after effects, the multiple destruction of the body because of the Lyme disease. I started feeling, actually the whole day, I started just feeling light in my body and just feeling lighter and lighter. And I was like, wow, this feels good. I feel good today. So long story short, as the night came on, I was sitting in this chair and I started hearing a whooshing in my head, in my body, a whooshing sound. So, I had a history of, since I had that disease, with low blood pressure. So the whooshing sound I thought was more like a high blood pressure, which would have been odd for me. So I went across the street to the CVS to check my blood pressure. I called my doctor and they said, you better check your blood pressure. And the blood pressure was normal, everything seemed fine. And until that night, and I went to bed, I wasn't sleeping. And all of a sudden I felt my body again getting lighter and lighter and lighter until I was just air. And I slipped. My spirit just slipped right out of my body. It was I have to tell you, it was the easiest thing I've ever, and the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced in my entire life. It was just beautiful. As soon I knew my soul left my body because I immediately was enlightened. So when I say enlightened, I've been meditating for over 30 years, doing transcendental meditation, the Advanced Cities program. So I already knew what it was to be spiritual. And I was really glad I had that experience of spirituality, because this experience later in life was a very spiritual experience. I think it would have shocked me had I not known anything about spirituality. Had I not had any other spiritual experiences. I'd already been touched by spirits in the past. I've had wonderful spiritual experiences. But this one was definitely different because I left my body. As soon as I left my body, I immediately turned into this incredible love. And it's a love that we don't have here. I would compare it to the love of your children, or meeting the love of your life, having that euphoric, exciting love feeling and multiplying that by probably 50,000. It's that powerful. And as soon as I left my body, I turned into this love and this incredible peace. Again, a peace that we don't have here. It's the way I could describe it is it's such a calmness, such a calm state of being that you're detached from anything negative. So there's in that spirit form, there's no negative emotions whatsoever. Just this feeling of euphoric bliss consciousness, just euphoric happiness, incredible peace, and love. So when I was in this state of being outside of my body, immediately, it's like the heavens just opened up and Jesus came down and had this within, it's an energy that I can't explain in limited human words, but he came down and kind of was like, no, it's not your time type of gesture, and started healing me with this incredible divine energy in my solar plexus. And this was going on all night long. So at the beginning, when I was kind of half in my body and half out, I started speaking another language. Now, at the same time as your consciousness leaves your body, I didn't feel like I lost my identity. I felt like, as some NDEs will say, I felt like I became my best self. I was myself with none of the worries of the world. I was just in the now, just being in this enlightened state of being. So I started speaking another language that I did not recognize. I don't know if it was Aramaic. I really can't say, but it obviously was a heavenly language. I was speaking it fluently, and what I picked up from that language, because when you're in the spirit form, you get the answers. There are no secrets. So there's a theme to everything. And the theme to this language was I was praying in this language with the divine beings that were with me for my own healing of this body that I was in. At the same time, an angel was next to me, Archangel Michael, who was 12 to 15 feet tall, going through my body. And I never was one to believe in angels with wings, but he had wings that were the size of the room. And the detail of the wings was just amazing. He was assisting with the healing. At the same time, there was angels, I think it was Raphael and Gabriel on this side of me. And then I sensed Mother Mary this way. But I didn't pay much attention to what I felt with her because there was just so much healing going on. I was part of the healing. I was being shown my future. I had a short talk with the creator. Now, in this, my spirit form, what I recognized right away, that I was part of the creator. The creator felt different than the spirits that were with me, like Jesus and Archangel Michael, myself. It was a much more powerful being. I mean, it's so hard to describe. Loving, when they say God is love, it's a love that we don't have here. It's an incredible non-judgmental love. And what I found out is we, as spiritual beings, when we leave our body, we judge ourselves, because I found out that God, what we call God, what I now call source or creator, the I am, is not judgmental at all. But he was there. The one thing he told me was, he called me Lisamarie and said, Lisamarie, everything is in my time, not your time. That's one thing I'll never forget. So I was able to see my future. I saw myself as a spiritual teacher, as a speaker. There was a theme to that as I was watching myself. That was very cool, speak. And the theme was hope. I also noticed that while I was watching myself during one of these speaking engagements, which is what I do now, I noticed that there were some words, probably about 10 words, that I didn't even recognize. I didn't even know what they meant. Obviously, I hadn't learned them yet, which was very cool. So as I was watching myself talk, and I was talking about Ayurveda, which is what I do. I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner, and helping people have this perfect health and balance, which is the name of my business. Teaching them how to raise their consciousness, teaching them how to connect with source, so they can have, about meditation, so they can have a more joyful, peaceful life on earth. This is what it was all about. So as I was watching myself, I noticed that I was using a couple of off-colored words, which wasn't normal for me. So that was the only thing I questioned. So Jesus was right here. So I was just like, what's up with that? So he explained to me something very profound. He said, you came here to learn compassion. You came here to learn compassion. That means that this was all planned before I came here in the physical body, from what I understood. And from what I understood, what he was saying, that for me, because he knew I was upset, I was the epitome of health before I'd gotten sick. I had optimal health. And I helped a lot of people back then, and I wanted to keep helping people. He knew I was upset with that, couldn't understand what had happened. And he said to me, I can't come here to learn compassion. I felt like he meant that without the suffering and everything I went through and everything I learned from the suffering of the illness, I wouldn't be where I am now with this very deep level of compassion, to be able to understand people. So I asked him about the off-colored words, and I said, what's up with that? And he said, you're too pure. So here I was meditated for all those years, an hour twice a day, to become this, Christ consciousness. And that was my goal, to have this optimal health and Christ consciousness, and to the enlightenment was my goal. All for him to tell me that I was too pure and I needed to be able to relate to the people on earth. Very interesting, right? Very interesting. So he said I needed to be able to relate to the people on earth. And I said, okay. And then he talked about humor, how important it was for me to put the humor into my teachings, into my speaking engagements, because he knew I would be dealing with patients and clients with some pretty serious situations, serious illnesses. And he talked about the importance of humor in this life that we're experiencing on earth. Getting back to the healing, I knew and was being told that I would be a healer in my life. I was already doing some healing work, but I was being told that it would become much more powerful than it was, and that I would be healed of everything. They reassured me, Jesus reassured me, and by showing me my future, and watching my body and myself and seeing what I looked like in the future, I could also feel the physical sense of what I was. And I had more energy than before I'd gotten ill. So I could feel that. So I could feel my physical energy. I could feel and sense everything about my body, which was very nice. It was very nice to know and know. I knew that was the truth of what I was seeing and experiencing. And what I learned was, this is not our home. And, we are very, very powerful spiritual beings having a human experience. I, believe it or not, what I found out was I, in my spirit form, was just as powerful as the spirit beings that were with me. Not as powerful as the creator, but I was a piece of that creator. That's the best way I could describe it. Like the creator is like a pie, the whole pie, and we are slice of that pie. You're still a part of the whole, part of that. It's the best way I could describe it. So we all have that piece of us that is just light and enlightened. When it was time, I was not given a choice. I have to tell you, if I was given a choice to leave this or leave my body for good, I would not be here, because that feeling is something you can't even compare to what we're experiencing in the body. I would not be here, definitely, but I wasn't given a choice. So anyway, I was kind of pushed back into my body. And the way I describe it is, if anybody knows that show, if you're old enough, I Dream of Jeannie. She has that bottle, right? And it's a skinny neck bottle, right? And I went backwards, like my spirit went backwards into that bottle, into that body. And let me tell you, it was one of the most uncomfortable things I've ever experienced, because I was so free as a spirit and huge, expanded, it's hard to explain expanded consciousness. You're just free and huge, much bigger than what we are trapped in these bodies. So when I went in, it was uncomfortable. It was like I was being squeezed and squished into this skinny bottleneck bottle. And it was dark and it was heavy. I wasn't light as air anymore. It's dense, it's depressing, it's heavy, and it's limited. Your brain is now limited. Your words are limited. So when the divine beings and the creator were speaking to me, it was telepathy. And telepathy speaking is easy and natural. It's just thought to thought. If I asked a question before I could even finish the sentence, the question was answered. Talking like this is work. It's just even feel natural. I don't even talk as much as I used to talk before my NDEs because of this experience. And they speak profoundly. Spirits speak profoundly, a few words that are profound, a sentence maybe. I went back into my body. This happened, of course, 2 nights in a row. The same thing, same experience, both nights, the same healing. Now, during that healing, there was a chorus of, I would call them angels, not singing. They were speaking. But because there were so many of them, there had to be hundreds of them. It sounded like almost like they were singing, like they were in tandem or something in a graceful way. They were saying these words during this healing. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. They kept saying it for so long. And so many times I said to myself, because you're still thinking, yourself, your consciousness, your brain, that it's the consciousness from your brain leaves your body. I'm thinking, when are they going to stop saying this? Because I would stop saying it. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. But as long as the healing was happening, they were repeating this over and over and over. It was beautiful. Beautiful. It's changed my life forever. Forever.
Tell us, were you healed?
Yeah. Some things were immediately healed. I was so excited after that experience. I can't tell you. I went to the doctor. She wanted to hospitalize me, and I said no, because I was so elated from this experience, and it was still fresh in my mind, and I was just kept hearing what Jesus kept telling me, and I kept seeing video clips of what I saw in my NDEs as my future, and those video clips kept interrupting my thoughts all day long. I could not stop this. I remember it was for 14 days straight that I was in this integration stage of not fully being totally back integrated with my body. So I was in this pure enlightenment form for 14 days, which was very cool. I wish I could have stayed like that because I was just seeing visions. I saw a vision of my friend washing his car in the driveway. So I drove over there and he said, "How did you know I was home?" I said, "Because I saw a vision of you washing your car in the driveway." So it was this constant, the third eye was just wide open. And I kept seeing my future, kept seeing my future in my mind's eye very clearly for 14 days. When I say enlightened, I was one with everything and I was just pure love. The love had come with me. And like I said, because my spirit wasn't totally, I was still feeling light. Not as light as when I was out, but light. Like I wasn't totally integrated with my body. So during that phase, I just felt this complete love. Anybody could have said anything to me and I would have had a loving response. It was just pure enlightenment. It was really beautiful. And that's how we are as spirit beings. It's a great reward to leave the body. It is such a reward for all this suffering and all the challenges that we have in these bodies on earth. So 14 days later, I was going to help a medium friend of mine who is disabled do a gallery reading. And last minute, she was sick. So the people that were running it called me and said, we have somebody else taking your friend's place. So I said, okay, well, I invited two friends, so I had to go. And I'd already bought the ticket. So I went to the gallery reading and it was about a half-hour drive. And on the way there, I started receiving information, download. During my NDEs, I had a lot of downloads. I had messages for friends. I was being told the reasons why I had to be with in people's lives. Some people I couldn't get rid of because I was supposed to be there. I could take a break from them, but I had to be there in their life for all the reasons that they were explaining to me. That was cool too. So I went to this gallery reading, and on my drive there, I kept thinking, oh my God, this is for me. This all happened for a reason why my friend had cancer. And now there's this medium that I don't know, and she's going to bring up my NDEs. I just know it. And I'm going to be towards the end. She's going to pick me at the end. And it happened exactly like that. And she came up to me and she's looking at me like I look healthy. And she says, "Jesus is telling me he healed you." And I said, "Yes," very matter of factly. And the whole room, there had to be 50 people there. They're like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, yep. And she says, "He's telling me that you were really sick." I said, "Yeah, I was really sick for a long time." And then she started explaining how Archangel Michael, he didn't mean to freak me out was the word she used, because he was at first, before I was totally out of my body, he was coming into my body, physical body, and I was a little creeped out by that. So she said he didn't mean to freak you out. He just was trying to heal you. And she talked about that, and she talked about that Jesus healed me because of my faith. I had a strong faith system. I knew I was going to be healed. I was sick for many years, but I knew I was going to be healed for some reason. So I wasn't shocked at the experience. That was cool that, it was revealed through the medium. And she explained the other entity, the other spirits that were with me, the other angels. She mentioned Mother Mary, and she mentioned my future. And it was beautiful. It was really beautiful. I didn't really want to talk about it. I maybe told one person about my experience immediately just because I was so on cloud nine, to say the least. I told one of my best friends, but the thing is, what I was worried about was people know that I'm very direct and I'm not going to make a story up. That's for sure. I was concerned about telling people my story, this story, this experience, and somebody possibly committing suicide. That was my concern because I'm telling them how great it is to be not in this body anymore. So, and I'm a very private person, so I certainly didn't want to go public. It happened really by accident how I went public with this years later. But I never heard of near death experience. And then it started coming to me out of nowhere on Facebook, or I was reading about it, and then, or I found a Facebook group and I was like, oh my God, this is what it's called. And then I was meeting like-minded people that had been through the same experience, and they were describing that love that I experienced. They were describing the bliss consciousness that I experienced and the peace, and that we are these spiritual beings having a human experience. I have to tell you that when I left my body, it felt like this lifetime meant nothing. It was like it went by in a flash, like that fast. Like it was nothingness. It wasn't important. I was detached from it in a very healthy, spiritual type of way. Best way I could describe it. You know, we really don't die. You know, we go on as in our spirit form.
This has been the A.J. Parr Spiritual Journalist Podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe.